Also, hello Tubman, how you doing, mate? Always wonderful to see you in chat. Now, we have got North Wall the Second, North Wall the First. North Wall the First is quite a mess, but North Wall the Second can be a nice straight line, much like South Wall and East Wall. There is no West Wall. We don't talk about West Wall. We just make West Wall live inside the walls, staring out at us eating our family meal with a little painted plate on a table. God damn it! Why did that movie make me feel so sad for Bruno? Anyway, I'm thinking we're probably going to want to come along the side here and up, and get a bullet train stop about there. Right now, we have likely got a couple of nests just dotted around here. Makes sense for me to swoop out, wipe these ones out. In fact, maybe wipe that one out, actually. And then just swing up and finish the wall before I put down bullet train. I think that makes a lot more sense. Yeah, let's start off with just a tiny wee bit of killy. Poor West Wall. Yep. Isn't Westwall just the water? Wow, chat being brutal. We didn't drown Westwall, we just exiled them into the water. Right. Let's explode everything over here. There we go. And pop. Tank Chan is so much faster with nuclear fuel. I think the nuclear fueled powered Tank Chan is probably moved up from Chan. I'm not sure if a regular normal tank could be Tank Sama, but maybe. I think we're going to have to reserve Tank Sensei for a rare or better tank, though. Let's thin out some of the biters, because that wall of spit is actually kind of worrying. There we go. And this should be the end of them now. For the most part, I just use the tank as a hit-and-run vehicle, which is perhaps not making full use of its very high armor, but it does the job really well. It just takes me a little bit longer to get things finished. Oh, those are cliffs. That is unfortunate. It just takes me a little bit longer to get areas cleaned out. I could use piercing ammo and just like one-shot the nest, but I really quite like the explosive ammo for dealing with the biters when they gang up. My laser defense is not quite up to the task yet. There we go. And back around we go. Oh, really? Cliff? How dare. Rude ass. There we go. Come here, bots. Okay. We can head up there. I'm not sure if you can control a fleet of tanks, though, chat. I think that's more of a multiplayer thing where every player would have their own tank. I don't think that was like the Spidertrons where you can potentially have remote-controlled Spidertrons. I think I'm just going to plow into you. There we go. And we'll do another hit and run on the other one if we have to. Rather not if I don't need to, though. Because that takes a lot of health off the tank. You absolutely can run over nests, as I showed there. I mean, the tank has got shields, though, so it can take a bit of a beating. But even still, I would say a normal tank would be able to survive one impact. Maybe. You'd have to be careful about it. You'd probably be able to run over one nest and then have to let your bots repair. There we go. And now, oh, is that a scouting party moving out? Might be, actually. Okay, well, we just prevented them from expanding out and reclaiming their territory there. We'll swoop through, clear out these two nests, possibly even the one above, before we get more things that I'm going to have to take on both of these nests at the same time, which is not ideal. Oh well. That's a lot of worms. Let's focus on cleaning out the worms for now, so that it becomes easier for me to move through here on the way back through. Let's move in a bit. I will say I do love the explosive shells for their ability to take out groups of big worms. Can I fire? Oh, I'm out. Never mind. Actually out of tank shells. And I do not have enough high quality ones. So let's head back, get re-equipped. That being said, I likely have enough stuff with me to push this forward a little bit. Do I personally have enough? I do. We can maybe make this happen. I'm going to have to be a little bit more thrifty with my cannon shots, though. I have to specifically aim only for the... Oh, that is not my cannon. And I have angered the others. Let's lure them over here. We're being attacked. Oh, my bots. Very sad. There are no repair bots here yet, so it's only my repair bots that are going to be able to fix things. You should not be out of ammo. I'm just going to try and wipe these out. These shells are significantly more powerful, so... they should be able to punch through as long as I can line up the shots. There we go. That's one down. Quick, little bot. Don't get killed by the biters. I'll save you. I'm out of shots now. Because the other nest is definitely not going to be something I can easily deal with now. There we go. I could always do the unthinkable and get out and use my rocket launcher. But that truly is unthinkable. No, no, no. We're not even seeing the strongest bugs, by the way. Like, we're far from that. But our defenses presently are enough. That won't always be the case. They get much more scary. There we are. Also, I definitely want the trees removed from the way, from the gates. I don't mind the trees just being there in general. In fact, I kind of like it. I like the belts and the tracks tunneling through the trees rather than getting rid of them. In the same way that I enjoy working with the landscape when I'm playing Minecraft. I don't like just turning everything into a flat stone surface upon which I can build. I don't want a blank canvas. I want to work with the canvas I've been given, including its bumps and ridges and stuff. But that would actually impede the function of this area, so I do need that one to move. I don't play Factorio to let trees live. Pave the world! If you want to pave the world, play Dyson Sphere program. The SP is play for the galaxy. Get it right. Oh, yeah. Sorry. My bad. Okay. All right, let's go back. We're going to need tank shells. We're going to need more inserters and such. Though, honestly, at this stage, having a bullet train would solve a lot of this, as bullet train will bring most of the things needed to build an outpost. And maybe that is something I need to add into bullet train. Yeah, it kind of is, and it has been for a little while. So let's stop being lazy. Which way do I want bullet train to move over here? There's a little gap there. I could have bullet train here, drop off around here, and then run back through the same gap. That should work. Okay. The beautiful thing is, the second that this is hooked up, bullet train will start doing its thing. But I am going to want to change this. So, what are all the things we've got? Request a chest that I basically don't use. I'm going to want lights. 1 stack of lights. We've got power poles. We've got the inserters. We've got logistics and construction robots, which is what we need. We've got repair packs. We've got bullets. Gates, walls, guns. Yep. We are not using these presently. You know what? Given that, I'm going to say these are 0. just so that they're on the list, and I can decide based on where bullet train is dropping off what it's dropping off that way. I'm going to want roboports. We're almost always using those realistically. You know what? Sure, let's get a thing of light to do. And it's belts and underground and probably splitters. Also provider chests are going to be needed for the merger point. A set of belts. 1 stack's worth. They shouldn't be doing a lot of building. Like, bullet train is more there for supply rather than construction. But I can kind of get it to do double duty a little bit without too much of an issue for me. I think that is everything. It might actually be worth me setting up bullet trains kind of calculations to include a roboport so that it can read information off there. Does Aavak know about logistics groups? Yes, I do. I just don't tend to use them for some stupid reason, but that is a really good good choice. In fact, I think I made one. Yeah, the combat supply logistics group. Damn. Okay, let me add that in. Can I choose that? Combat supply? Ah, there we are. So yeah. But the problem with combat... No. The problem with combat supplier is that certain outposts will want different things. So no, I won't include that. But I should... Oh, you know what? Thinking about it, the way I could do it instead. Combat supplier would carry the things that I always want. No matter where it's at. And then we will have... I'm going to rename this group, actually. So combat supplier can be... defensive walls. Then we would want... gun... How would I word this? So we've got the walls themselves, defensive, well, I'm trying to think of a way that I can kind of just have 3 groups, or rather more than that. So one would be the walls themselves. That would be the walls, the gates. Then you'd have, so I could put this up as defenses. I can never decide how that's spelt. We'd have walls. I just have defense, walls. I'm gonna redo all of these and then I'll set them up elsewhere. But that's kind of a good suggestion. So walls would want a stack of, and I'm going to need everything at the basic level for this. So 100 walls, 50 gates, or I could just say this, defense is basic. Actually, that works a lot better. What would the basic defenses always need? They'd need walls, they'd need power, because they'd also want a way of repairing the walls. So we would want roboports. So 1 stack of those. I think they stacked to 50. No, they stacked to 10. This as well. We'd want construction bots. We want repair packs. We would want... Realistically, we probably wouldn't want logistic bots for the basic defense. It just needs to repair itself. And we would want power poles. Both medium and large, I'm going to say. I'm going to try and get into the habit of using this. So this first design is going to be kind of overboard just to kind of get me into using it. Then we want defense. Actually, defense should be with a C, I think. A C and E. Defense is what I've spelt right now. Defense. I swear, the soft C and the regular S in English, one of the most confusing things for my brain. Guns and ammo. On the stack. And I'm going to say we want way more than a simple stack there. In fact, I kind of want more than this. So, like, 2 stacks of repair packs. But ammo-wise, going to want, like, a good amount. Let's say 10 stacks of ammo will be the basic defense. Now, in terms of... Oh, I'm probably going to put lights in here just because I know it's not strictly necessary, but it's me. I'm going to want to make it lit. Oh, we're also going to need chests here then. So I'm going to want request a chest, 1 stack. And provide a chest, 1 stack. Also going to need inserters at this point, so a stack of inserters as well. Okay, so guns and ammo actually does add quite a lot. Then the next one will be defense lasers. Get rid of walls. Get defense basics should be there. Oh, that's defense basic. Defense lasers is literally just a stack of lasers. Doesn't need to be more complicated than that. Though I'm going to say I could add in dedicated batteries for the lasers, which makes sense to me. So at that point, I'm also going to want accumulators. A stack of accumulators as well, please. If I've got lasers, I can build a circuit that will allow the accumulators to charge. But once charged, shut off access to the main grid in a way. Or when lasers start firing, it... is there going to be a need for it? I mean, generally speaking, my power should be high enough. But I think there's a reason to try. So that means I'm also going to want... Do we already have the switch? Do I have that? Power switch. I have a stack of power switches as well, just in case. Okay. Add in the next. Flame turret. Defense. Fire. I have no idea what the flame turrets are called, though, so I'm just going to go with that. That would be... Let me have a look. I'll change the name in a second. Flamethrower. Yeah, that works. So, lasers and battery. I think that's how you spell it. Now, the thing with this is I probably want to have a separate train delivering the fuel and fuel tanks. So for this, I'm going to need pipes. Now, one problem that I'm seeing here is I'm adding a lot of new things that Bullet Train is going to have to start stockpiling. So I think we're going to need to change Bullet Train before I leave. We're going to want storage volume of 25k. Sorry, I think these are stacked to 10, aren't they? No, they're stacked to 50. Okay. We almost certainly don't need it, but I'll have Bullet Train have at least one stack of it. And... is there anything else I would want? Would we want pumps? It's possible I would. I'll add them on just in case. Oh, no, it wouldn't be part of the station road train. I mean, pump. Like, if I've got an incredibly long defensive wall, I might need pumps to keep the fluid running all the way to the end. The station will have its own pumps. That'll be part of the blueprint for the station. And it'll be just a regular drop-off point for fluids. It's not going to be Bullet Train. Bullet Train isn't going to bring that. If I needed that, then I would have to have something that could barrel and unbarrel flamer fuel, which, I mean, is possible. I could do that. But I think having... Well, that being said, the tanks would be part of the drop-off. No, I'll keep this. I'm not going to be using these for a while, so I'll probably adjust this at some later time. So this gives me... Oh, and if I've got ammo... Now, these would allow bots to move things. But I could either just go pure bots, or I could have the delivery of... delivery via belt. I like the idea of having delivery via belt, so we'll have a stack of belts too. I cannot think of anything else we would want to add. Save one thing. Explosives. It's going to be a rare thing, so I'll just throw that in there. Oh, also, I am going to want radars. So I want a stack of radars as well. There's the basic. All right, that's my basic setup here. And I will adjust what each bullet train station wants based on that. Now, if I remove these, remove this logistics section from this request support. So let's just test that out with mines. If I do that, is the mines still there? Yes, it is. Okay. That's fine then. Now that I have got that, I can remove everything that isn't a part of this, including defensive walls, including this, and it should have everything that I need bundled in. I could increase that based on a couple of things. But for now, I think this is good. I wonder, is there a way of me programmatically checking how many turrets are on a network? No, I don't think so. Also, I should have set their priority as well. If I could, it would be on this, wouldn't it? No. Oh well. That would have been amazing. But, oh well. No, there's nothing with radar that would give me that information, unfortunately. Yeah, roboports in network it would read. That being said, I could, if this is just a stamp, use that as a shorthand for information of how big the network is, but I don't think we will. Okay, the idea now is that I include the types of things that I need on a combinator by combinator basis. That's something I have to set up. Alright. Now with that in mind, let's start laying the rest of these tracks. I want to kind of line these up. Actually, I think it was bang on. Oh, yeah, it was. How fortuitous. Yep, perfect. Okay, so I need to take this down. Probably down here and then down there at an angle. Can't take it the whole way, sadly. Oh, actually, no, I can. At least down to this point. I've built my stop backwards. Oh no, have I? Oh, I have. Damn it. Well spotted, road train. Oh, that sucks. Yeah, I have. This, the top of the way that we need to go there. That's fine, though. I need to redesign that drop-off anyway to include a roboport so that it can read the kind of logistics content of the network. That way I can have the combinators as not part of a supply. I can have the combinators down here. That being said, if I do that, if I make the power switch, which delivers power to the rest of the system, part of the station, then as long as I make power come through the station, I can always set up, I can always have the switch a part of the station as well. So then I wouldn't need to include switches or indeed extra batteries along with the I wouldn't have to include those along with the supplies. It could just be assumed that the station is going to have a battery bank. It's going to have a storage tank if needed. Might be worth me doing. Uh-oh. There we are. Done and done. Cut. Oh yeah, that's right, actually. Thank you so much, Bentham. You've been a real help in, you know, cluing me in on some of the quality of life changes since the last time I've played. I can just cut and paste. Or cut, rotate, and paste, rather. I still want to update the blueprint, though, so I need to do that regardless. Okay. I will add the signals in a moment. Let's first go and update the station. So presently, this would be both the availability of the chest. It's very, very disconcerting that these are wired on red as well. I'm actually going to update that. Let's get that sorted, shall we? Because that is just a nightmare waiting to... Is there a way, an easy way for me to do this? Is there a quick way for me to remove these? Just the wire connection. Before I spend the next forever arduously cutting them one at a time. Aavak, speaking of premature reminder, that Control Z is a thing. Yeah, I'm reading chat as well, Road Train. My eyes do more than act as a distraction from the rest of my face. I know I might not seem it. That is true. Does shift right click do anything? No. No, that just copies. It feels like there is a way of doing this though. Maybe not, but at least this isn't one of the larger stations, so it's relatively quick for me to do it manually regardless. Can you upgrade plan of them to... I very much doubt it, because by design... now, that isn't to say that you're not right, but by design, you're meant to be able to have 2 wires on something. So upgrade plannering a red wire when to a green wire would just add a green wire, and now you've got 2 channels. If that makes sense. Here we are. Now, everything should be okay, and I can even go ahead and disconnect this and have all of this information instead travel along here and then down. There we are. That makes everything nice. Copy one section and force paste over the other. That would absolutely have worked. Damn. Okay. Yeah, thank you for that one. Are there meant to be a couple of random uncommon insert? Are there? Let me turn this off. Are there any random uncommon inserters? Oh, turning off alt turns off quality. Oh, you're quite right. Yeah, there are. That would explain why they haven't been stamped down. Thank you. Yeah, no, I knew that the ones that weren't flashing were ghosts. I just assumed I didn't have inserters, but I should have looked a little bit more closely, evidently. Let's go into here. Grab you. Yeah, I must have just had high quality inserters at some point and placed them down. You know what though? Where are you? Oh no, I didn't replace them. I simply replaced them on the blueprint. Alright, let me go and grab up some more gubbins. We'll come up. We'll hook up a bit of a better delivery system here. Both for power. Again, I'm not sure if it's really going to be necessary, but I think it makes sense to have your defensive areas have independent batteries, so that because your lasers don't suddenly lose power because your factory starts producing something at a completely unrelated location. You know, blue versus hazy blue is hard to spot. Yeah. I can check the other train stations, sure. Where are you? That one's fine. That one is fine, and I'm going to guess that is the reason why that blueprint got updated the way it did. Yeah, I probably just threw that. I was helping out by placing things down there, and I didn't recognize the problem I was about to introduce. I'm trying to wire set an inserter to only activate when a chest is what it's wired to is empty, but nothing is working. Okay, so Kayin, you have hit a very small edge case. I'll quickly demonstrate. It's not difficult to sort. I will show you. So let's just throw this down like so. I'll bring along an insert a power pole. Now, what you're running into is a particular caveat of... Oh, they said, never mind, had the wrong item selected to check for. Okay. But you can actually have an issue with this. So, for example, if you're strictly checking for an item, it's very easy to check if it's empty. You just say, let's say you were checking for iron ore. If iron ore is less than 1, therefore there's no iron ore there, be active. There you go. That'll work. So I put 1 iron ore. Oh, actually, let me take that out. Oh my lord. Nope. There we go. Let me see. Have I got any? I need to come out of map mode. That's what was being an issue. Actually, let's make that pipes then, because I've got some of those. So. If it's empty, oh, I imagine you're thinking more of loading into a chest, but it would work similarly, because in context you wouldn't really want the thing to only be active if there's nothing in there for it to pull. So if this chest is empty, then load. So if I pop a stack of iron in here and then hook this up to power, that'll work. There we go. But now it's no longer empty, this stops. Simple as that. There's currently 2 in there because this picked up 2 at a time. If you want to control something like that, by the way, you can override the stack size and tell it to be 1. Now, exactly 1 should be put in there. As you can see, it works. But there is if you're looking for anything, and this is the part where it gets a little bit more complicated, because there's a couple of ways you could do it. But if you're trying to use a wild card, so you don't care what's in there, you just care that something is in there. Let me take these out so it doesn't unload everything. And also grab that. So presently, the tricky edge case you might encounter with that is that if there is nothing there, a 0 signal, which it means there's no iron plates here, there's no copper here, whatever. A 0 signal is no signal. It doesn't transmit a signal unless it is a negative number or a positive number, but 0 is never transmitted, and it keeps your network clean, because otherwise it literally would be chaos. But you've got a couple of things. There's everything. If all input signals meet the condition, it will pass. It is true when there are no inputs. If any of the input signals meet the condition, it will pass. It is false when there are no inputs. So if I say, if anything in there is less than 1, there's nothing in there currently. If I pop that stack of pipes, even though there's nothing in there, it's not going to move it, because this is always false if there are no inputs. So if there's only nothing coming through on the signal, it defaults to being a negative signal. If I change that to everything, which is truthy when there's no signal, oops, sorry, my bad. Tonk. That moved one thing across. Doesn't care what the thing was. Doesn't care what's in there at all. Could be one wood. And I can take the pipe out. Still not going to work because there's one thing in there. So that's just one of the little quirks that I've seen a lot of people struggle with. Because logically, anything and everything within the context of this, if there is anything in there, stop working. If everything in there is, you know, anything other than 0, stop working. You do have to care about what their null signal resolves to. And everything and anything resolve to different things. Everything will resolve null into true, or yes, 1, something, however you want to conceive of, conceptualize a truthy value. And anything resolves null into false, or 0, or no. Honestly, I think if more people understood the incredibly subtle but absolutely critical difference between these two wildcards, I think like 40% of all, frustration over debugging a combinator network would evaporate instantly. I think like at least, a good significant portion of all combinator frustrations come from not catching how a null signal will resolve, with regards to the fact that Factorio treats any 0 signal as null. But that was a bit of a side, and by the sounds of it, wasn't actually even necessary because you used a different system to resolve it. But I thought I'd cover it anyway. If you're getting into combinators, like I said, if more people understood the significance of that difference, there would be far less debugging going on, far less frustration with combinators going on, far more wonderful flying machines being designed instead of factories being grown. And I am all for more flying machines. Vote Aavak 2024. Flying machines for every man, woman, child, larva, proto-sentience. I've got a question. Do you have any good resources on smart trains? How do you mean, Ask Jabba TV? Do you mean like tutorials? I do not, but I could possibly throw some together. If if you watch the last couple of VODs in their entirety, you'll get quite a thorough tutorial, but it's distributed over like 60 hours of VODs. If you've got a specific question, I would be happy to explain it. Happy to help you out with that. All right, let's get back up to this area. Like, I play with combinators the second I unlock them, I warn chat, I warn YouTube if I'm just recording a series, like, yeah, okay, so now the possibility of me being distracted from what I set out to do and ending up doing something completely different has now reached almost critical mass. It is near enough 100% that there's no point in splitting hairs. I am going to get distracted. I am going to set out to do something really important, and I'm not going to do it because I am doing something that entertains me more. We have not set up for Gleba yet, no. No, I'm just setting up the final defensive wall, and I got a little bit distracted talking about combinators. But we will be setting off before too long, hopefully. Right, so... But yeah, if any questions at all, happy to answer them. Now, I am going to want a roboport here as part of this design. And as much as this design does not need a radar, I kind of like having a radar. Surely I do. So I'll pop a radar down. Like, almost pretty much all of my other stations have radars because it's how they communicate. This one doesn't need to communicate, but I would like to still have it. So I'm going to include that. Right, there we go. This will now broadcast its contents out to 2 arithmetic combinators, which will live. Let's pop them here and here. I'm going to broadcast this on the green wire. So there's minimal chance of crossover there. I want this to... I could read the logistics network contents, because that'll tell me how many bullets are in chests as well as on belts. Yeah, I think this makes sense. Right, I want available logistics bots and available construction bots. So Z, take Z, add nothing to it, and output that as construction bots. I always forget which one is which is why I always have to come through here. It's like, which one's construction bots, which one's logistics bots? We want X. Add nothing to the value and output that as my logistics bots total. And this value then gets added to this. That being said, do I really care what's in the chest? Because once things are in the chest, I take them like this will buffer ammo. Once it's in a chest, the logistics network stops considering it as available ammo, because that ammo now belongs to those turrets, not the outpost as a whole. So you know what? No, I won't read the logistics network contents. I don't need that information. I just want the bots. That is provided there, and then will be fed into the rest of the system, which I think is good. Aavak, can you walk through what you're gathering for your space travel? When you say gathering, what do you mean? I do wish you could do more tutorials. It's how I originally found your content way back when I wanted to know how to do a fortress. But I totally get the whims of St. Algorithms. I mean, I can always throw down a tutorial, especially if it's a simple thing that I can like bundle into a short. But if you mean like what's my station gathering, I can quickly pop up to Prydwen. This is what Prydwen does. Prydwen is got ammo. It's got it will gather items based on what I currently need the most of. And that is calculated down here. And then merged with it. Where's my constant combinator? Did the combinator get nixed? Because right now, this signal looks very much... Oh, no, there it is. I was very concerned. Right, so the constant combinator is what I set that I want this many asteroids available. So that's why there's only 2 of each. This then takes whatever I've currently got in storage, inverses it into a negative number, and just outputs that number. And so effectively, let's say I had, well, I've got 2 asteroids right now. -2 added to +2 gives 0, which, as we've just been talking about, is a negative signal. It's a null signal. And that particular signal is received by these inserters, which load the asteroid contents off this belt into the general storage, and is also fed to every one of my asteroid collectors. This way, let's say in the example that I took one of these out, which I'm going to... Well, I can't actually do that. But if one of these got removed, there would only be 1 in here. So I'd have -1 added to +2, which would give me an output of 1, which means that these would all be turned on to accept 1 ice. They would only pick ice up off this belt, and all of my asteroid collectors would only collect ice. They don't care about anything else. I want a little bit of a buffer, but because these each take up 1 1 slot each. I don't want to fill this up with stuff I'm not necessarily going to use. Additionally, my inserters over here are set to only load items into the crusher based on its needs. So this one here will only do it if I've got less than 120 iron ore in there. This one will only activate if I've got less than 100 carbon. This one will only activate if I've got less than 100 ice. So, you know, I'll have, you know, around 3 stacks of them. Oh, up to 3 stacks of them. Then these will, where's my smelter? Oh, right, down here. So I will attempt to load iron onto the belt, iron ore onto the belt, and then load the iron plates from the smelters. We've got 8 smelters running. That iron is loaded in here, but only in the situation that I have less than 200 iron available. That iron will get loaded as often as it can, because this is the only use for it, into my manufacturing areas, which will produce ammo that then gets distributed to all of my turrets around the base, and they filter around. I've got a lot of turrets, and they're all higher quality turrets as well, so they've got good range on them. There's the collector there also deposited stuff onto this belt. There is a special unload area which just tries to unload us constantly for carbon and iron ore, which goes down to my fuel production, and the water is just has ice fed to it as often as it can. I stockpile the fuel, though it does occur to me it might legitimately be worth my time to stockpile some water as well, just so there's water available. I wonder how much room a tank would take. It takes a bit too much, unfortunately. That said, this is all actually part of a giant network, so I could sacrifice 2 accumulators for that. Have a tank in there just to make sure that I've got a bit of extra water. In fact, I kind of like that idea. So I could pop a tank down here, for example, then connect this up. There we go. Now both of these should start producing, one would hope. Is that connected across? Not as easily as I would have liked. Wonder if there's a way that I could sneak that in. Oh, liquid can't flow through a chem plant, of course. That's connected, yes, but not the other way around. How would I solve this then? Is there a convenient way for me to do that? I wonder. There's probably a way for me to do it. And it would likely involve shunting this across. Because I could have these. Okay, if I move that down and that up, I'd have room for an underground here. But if I move that one down instead, and that one up, I could have a solid pipe there, connected here, going down. That could move across. So I would then just need to find a gap to bridge here. I wonder. There's probably some way of me doing it without sacrificing any of my units here. or any of the charge that we produce. Yeah, spaceport platform is Spaghetti. Spaghetti the musical. I think that's the very maximum length of this, though. Sadly, I can't squeeze any more room out from this. There is a version of affairs where I run the pipes down along the outside, but having the pipes exposed like that worries me an awful lot. It fills me with the fear. I don't like being filled with the fear. But I could shunt out my solar panels just a little bit. That'll give me a little room. In fact, that would work. Okay. Very slight change to be made here. I'm gonna have to get a couple of things brought up, but that's okay. Also, we do have the higher tier accumulators here that I would like to use on one of these. Since I had a few. If I were to move these across like this. All I now need to do is scoot something through here. That one, yeah, I can't double that one across, unfortunately. But what I could possibly do if I would, well, I could sacrifice these in order to move the gun turret around a little bit. Then I could bring this down. I still wouldn't necessarily hook up there. I think the only way I'm going to get this to work is to sacrifice these solar panels, which does hurt. What is the output of the solar on this station? 2.4 megawatts right now, but that's going to get less and less the further out I go. I could lose... Actually, yeah, we might be able to make this work. Something like that there. Here. Say goodbye to these. I'm still going to want to connect down here. But I might be able to shunt some of this further up. Effectively, what I need to have is this. And for this pipe to connect up there, and then also go down here and connect up there. That part is a little bit more of a complicated one for me, though. Unless... No, I don't want to get rid of that many. The way the piping here could then work is I just connect that up there, and I would replace the accumulator we lost in this location. But I've still got to solve the problem at the far side. Still got to somehow get the piping down here. Actually, no, we can easily do this. Not quite sure why that didn't occur to me. Yep, that'll work. So I want to Control C. I want to flip it. Actually, let me move it properly. Oh, crap. Okay, that's the problem. Control C. Control X, rather. There we go. That works. I will have to move this down by 1. And I think that'll still be able to connect. Yes, it will. This one technically only exists for symmetry's sake. But that's a good sake, in my opinion. Oh, yeah. There we are. Everything now connects. And these are currently looking for ice. So now as soon as ice is available, that gets loaded in. This fills this tank with water. That means that even if we go through a dry spell where we can't get ice for some reason, we'll have a backup supply. Right, let's have a quick gander in here. Any bits or bobs that I needed? No, I think everything is all right there. Okay, well, we've just improved this station a little bit. As it gets ice, it'll continue to fill up the water tank. But we're not leaving just yet. This is very much an aside. Right, so back to the station. Do I also want accumulators built as part of this? Having accumulators for the defensive line sounds like a good idea for me. Now I've just got to work out how I would control it. I would say if the accumulators are above 90% or 95%, shut down energy from the main grid. Like, don't let any more disconnect the main grid from the power supply for the defensive area. However, if it drops below 90%, it unlocks, or maybe below, I don't know, 80%. So kind of a hysteresis. Yeah, I think backup power is never bad, and Bullet Train presently exclusively supplies power to the front lines. So, and I know power is moving. Oh, can I not rotate this? That's kind of annoying. I know that power is going through this area further up. So I could do something like that irritates me. That irritates me way too much. That needs to move. There. Perfect. Okay. Brain less itch. But with this, I could have this connected here. Now, I don't have any on me, so I'm going to have to go and make those. Thankfully, they're not too expensive, but that's definitely something I'm going to have to add to the list of things that we've got available. Now, I want this to connect up here. Though it doesn't really matter which one connects, that one will do. I then want a tall telegraph pole connected beyond it. But I want it all in line with this blueprint. So it's going to look ugly, I know. That does pain me. But now I just need to make sure that this is not actually connected to anything else here. It's only connected to this, and this is connected to it. Then the red wire can come from this, so I can actually have this station a little bit ways from everything else. As long as it's within logistics range, so this can actually read how many available bots we have, then that should be fine. Either that or... Because it's possible I might be going somewhere without bots. Mind you, by the same token, it's possible I'm going somewhere without lasers. But as we ascertained, it's always good to have a backup. Maybe I just set these two little things as something that I stamp down somewhere. Because I more or less have to create an unloading area at every location. That being said, I could make the unloading area here. That would be nice. But accumulators would now need to be placed down. Am I stockpiling accumulators? I don't think I am. Sad. Let me go and grab some then. Power lines or circular? Well, sorry. I need to go back and look at how Aavak loaded his bullet train. After too much circuits wonkiness, my supply train still fills up with the wrong stuff half the time, it feels like. I'll go and check that out for you in a moment. Aavak, would you say that Captain of Industry has simpler mechanics to Factorio, allowing people to learn how to manage complicated patterns more easily? No, and yes, in different ways. Factorio, like, if you were to take out Combinator logic from Factorio, Factorio is basically on par with Captain of Industry. Factorio gives you more control over, like, basically using programming and logic to make a smart factory. But Captain of Industry, I would say, actually has the more complicated production chain. You know what? I think instead of making this part of this new design here, what would be better for me would be to make a dedicated connection point to the defenses. That is its own blueprint, and that would include the batteries. That would include all of the gubbins. So with that in mind, I'm going to say that lasers should not have this. By the same token, I'm going to say that flamethrower and fuel tanks should not have the tanks themselves. Might still need the pumps, though, depending on the length of the area. Well, no, I'll design, like, if I need the tanks, they'll be part of the design. But instead I'll make like a separate loading station. The pumps make sense, but the batteries and the tanks don't. So I'll just change this to lasers. There we go. That'll work. All right, that simplifies things quite a lot. So let's go ahead and design the connection point. So first and foremost, it'll always be somewhere like this, next to a roboport. So I can assume that that's going to be in position. That being said, I might have to run a power pole down from somewhere, so I will hook this up to like a cable from a roboport. I'll go down on the green, and then it'll output on the red. And this is simply Z, I believe, was the construction bots. Let me just hook this up just to check. It's the wrong one, but yeah. And then X is the logistics bots. There we go. So that's then on the red line, and that'll be carried further. The other thing we're going to want is whatever, like this is basically all outputting on a single line. Wherever that line comes from, I would want it to go through. Oh, wait. No. On second thought, I am going to have a dedicated roboport. And the reason why I'm going to have a dedicated roboport is that I am always going to want the bots to be loaded into this from wherever they're being delivered from. So instead, I can have this hooked up like that. Oh. So don't need to bring anything else in. I just want the robot statistics, and this makes sure that I'll always have that. I then want just a little bit of something over here, perhaps. This will load the bots. This should only be set up to use blacklist, only logistic bots or construction bots. Yeah. Gonna want, actually, could even have this just dotted in front, since that'll give me all of the gubbins that I want. I'll make this a stack inserter, maybe? A bulk inserter? I'll get better at that. Actually, let's keep it simple, so I only need to deliver one inserter type. And this goes into a passive provider chest. This uses exactly the same blacklist. Sorry, same whitelist, but uses it as a blacklist. And will load whatever into this chest. Having two of these does help. And then this would allow me to supply quite a lot of these chests that way. And the contents of these chests is what I will be measuring against. These will then have output that should generally be only bullets. Since I'm only requesting one type of bullet right now, I will only list that. But later on, I think I'm going to need to update the design so that it can handle whatever bullets I've got. If I've got uranium bullets, it should be using them. If I don't, well, whatever. I'm going to need another... There's something just down there. So at this point, input into the system, the output from the system. And then that can be rotated as necessary. And this should give me everything I need. I could build the... Yeah, since I'm generally always going to be using inserters at the very least, having some stable power here makes sense. So this is where we would have the switch. Where are you in my inventory? There you are. And a connection to you. And I'll also include a connection to the outside as part of this so that I can control when they connect. Like so. There we are. We would want a combinator. Actually, I should be able to hook this up. That would go across like so. This would come down. No, I'm going to need to isolate this network in particular. Enable to say right. Okay, so there isn't a battery straight here. Okay, that's fine. What I will do then, strictly speaking, I would only need one accumulator to work with this. And maybe I should do that, and then I can tailor the accumulator bank based on the size of the defensive wall. Like, just a single accumulator can trigger whether or not the switch is open or closed. But I can have a massive bank of accumulators further on, somewhere else, even maybe some solar panels if it's that heavily contested of a front line. Right, I would like some accumulators delivered to me. They are on their way. Don't need those anymore. How are we doing with automation? Not very well. Yeah, it's the red circuits is the problem. The problem there is the copper wires. I think I was looking at that problem earlier. Let's do something like this. Gonna have to squirrel some copper around here. It's not a nice situation, but we'll do it. Bring that all the way over. The spaghetti is... I'm not gonna lie, Chad, I'm quite impressed with the spaghetti of this factory. This is quite possibly the most spaghetti-infused factory I've ever made. I've outdone myself. I hope you're proud.